In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you want to engage live in the content, you got to go over here. Here is Instagram. Instagram Live, we do these a couple of times a day. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, by the way, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live. You can also engage live on my Facebook page. So thank you to all my Facebook livers for being here today on this simulcast for Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live on Instagram, be sure to watch it for 24 hours, up to 24 hours, because it does only last 24 hours, and then they take it away for some reason. After 24 hours, it disappears, so then pop on over to YouTube, type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants, we are at the time of the week where I basically open the floor to you. Because inevitably, since I've been doing these Jimmy Rants, almost every single one that I do some kind of a theme on, which is all of them, I typically get some random question that has nothing to do with the theme. And you'll often hear me say, thank you for that question. Unfortunately, we're going to stick to the theme on the pin post. But tune in on Friday afternoons. That's when we have a general Q&A session. So this is your time, guys. This is your show. There is no Friday afternoon Jimmy Rants if I don't get engagement from you. So whatever questions you have about cholesterol, keto, fasting, podcasting, book writing, backyard chickens, gardening, why is Jimmy Moore going bald? Whatever you want to ask about, I am totally game to field those questions. I did ask on my Instagram stories for people to submit questions, and I got a few really good ones, so let's get to those. This first one says, what are the best ways to increase fat when you're eating keto carnivore? And so a lot of you guys know that I've been on a ketogenic template carnivore diet this year. So people will be like, what's that? So the easy way to answer it is eating only meat and animal-based foods, but with the ketogenic profile. And the ketogenic profile means you need to up the fat a little bit. So this question is getting to the heart of how do you up the fat? So it's pretty easy. Number one, you try to choose the fattier cuts of meat, but then on top of that, then you add in fat. So if you're doing animal-based foods only, then that includes things like butter. That includes things like lard. That includes things like cheese and sour cream. You see where I'm going here? And so if you add in these kinds of things to the meat products, then it's pretty easy to get the fat calories up so it becomes a keto version of carnivore. So I hope that helps you out. This next question, does chicken make your blood sugar go up. Mine does, and I was curious if it does in everyone. So I have talked about this before. Chicken is one of the most insulinogenic protein sources that you could possibly consume. And last year I did a high protein diet where I wanted to see what the effects of a 3 gram of protein for every 1 gram of fat diet would do to my body. It weren't good, by the way. And I had to rely a lot on lean meats. And so lean meats meant chicken breast. So yes, chicken can actually make your insulin go up. Why your blood sugar would go up, the only thing I can think of there is maybe you're eating a little too much protein, and then that conversion of the protein would turn to glucose in the blood. That I have seen that happen in a lot of people. For many people that eat keto, they start eating chicken and they see their blood sugar go down, but then they start feeling hypoglycemic. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I was doing my high protein experiment, my blood sugar actually got way, way down, like in the 50s, 60s. And I was hypoglycemic. I was just all out, just fatigued and hungry and all that nastiness. You do not want to be hypoglycemic. That is not a fun feeling at all. So no, it's not surprising that you're getting that at all. It's one reason I'm not a fan of people using chicken when they are doing a carnivore diet or even a ketogenic diet. So this next question, do you still fast regularly and do you do extended fast? So yes, I pretty much do an intermittent fast almost every day because I do fall into, and I've done some Jimmy rants about this before, I fall into kind of a 1 meal a day pattern. And at worst 2 meals a day. So if I eat something and I'm hungry like 6 hours later, I'll eat again. But I always get in at least like kind of a 16 to 18 hour fast. And on most days, it goes about 23 and a half to 28 hours with the fasting. So I regularly intermittent fast. Now, as far as the extended fast go, I don't do the super long ones anymore. The 21-day ones I think are pretty irrelevant. I think you get the law of diminishing returns when you do a fast over about 5 to 7 days. And here's the rationale behind it. Let's say you do a 21-day fast. How long do you need to wait till you can do another 21-day fast? It's going to be several months before you're able to start doing a 21-day fast again after you did one. So let's say you do a 7-day fast. So if you do a 7-day fast this week, you only need to take a few weeks to recover, just to kind of get back in the groove again before you could go and do another 7-day fast. So you get to fast more often. You get those autophagy benefits all over again. And I think that's the key, you guys. I wonder if you do the 21-day fast, yeah, you get the autophagy in a few days, but there is at some point law of diminishing returns. So it's probably good to cycle in 5 to 7 days of fasting and then a few weeks worth of keto, and then 5 to 7 days worth of fasting and a few weeks of keto, maybe alternate day fasting in there every once in a while. And obviously, as regular of intermittent fasting as you can do. But great question. How would you increase fat on carnivore without dairy? So this is a little bit different than that question I got earlier. The main thing is you choose ones that aren't dairy. So lard would be a big one, and tallow, if you could add those things. And obviously you're going to have to lean towards the fattier cuts of meat. And so if you don't do dairy at all, you need to have ribeye steak. You need to have maybe pork belly, which is 90% fat. I was really shocked when I saw the amount of fat that's in, say, pork belly. So that's how you could do keto, carnivore, and Imperfectly Healthy is saying, yeah, duck fat is another great source of a non-dairy source of fat. There are good ways to do it. It's not necessarily easy always, but it's certainly doable. But thank you for that question. Next question, how does your high quality real food carnivore look like, and what do you eat regularly? So for me, I tend to be a beef guy. I really like my beef. So for me, I also include dairy. So I have beef and I have cheese on that. And that's pretty much it. and spices. So that's how I get in my keto carnivore. All right, I think that was all the questions that I had before, so let's eliminate that off the screen. I'm going to pop over here to Facebook Live, and I'll come back to your questions here in a minute. Instagram Live, thanks for being here. Thank you, Facebook. So let's see what you guys have to ask about. Have a great stress-free time in Italy. Hey, I will. Jimmy, what's the best fasting schedule to lose 20 pounds? Tammy wants to know. Don't fast for weight loss. Don't fast for weight loss. I think once you put the focus on the weight, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And who's to say you need to lose 20 pounds? Who's to say you don't need to lose 30 or 40? Who's to say you don't need to lose only 10? Why put an arbitrary weight loss goal down? And this is a major change in my thinking from, say, 15 years ago when I first started all this. I used to fall for the trap of it has to be a weight loss goal attached. Can you fast in such a way that you're doing it for your health? Can you fast with the sole purpose of wanting to improve autophagy? Can you fast with the sole purpose of improving body composition? Can you fast for the brain health benefits? Can you fast for the skin clearing benefits? Can you fast for all the reasons but weight loss? When you get there, then there's no pressure. So what's the best fasting schedule to get healthy? And I'd say the one you'll stick with. That's the best fasting schedule that will help you get healthy. And by extension of that health, you should shed those, quote, last 20 pounds, whatever that means. So I know that's not the answer you wanted to know, but I think most keto dieters could incorporate intermittent fasting, and then occasionally throw in, say, a weekend of fasting or a 5 to 7 day fast. I think is really ideal for most people. At least maybe 3-4 times a year would be really ideal if you could do that. So hope that helps you out. All righty. I've seen a number of new keto groups explode on my news feed. They're so full of misinformation. They talk about carb restriction, but never about fat. They are still afraid of ingesting fat. It's all carb restriction, and that's all. Maria, that's unfortunately par for the course. And we talked about that on my rant a little bit earlier today of keto being so hot. And part of the popularity of a diet like keto is you're going to have all kind of shysters out there that are going to try to make claims that they are keto experts and they don't know anything. In fact, I was just reading a popular new book in keto, not the book, but reading the reviews for it on Amazon, and it's getting blasted. I mean, like really blasted, because it's so far off the beaten path of what keto actually is. We need to hold authors and people behind these websites like the one you described here on Facebook. We need to hold them responsible, because words mean things, and the last time I checked, keto has a definition. And if you veer away from that definition, you're no longer keto. It's one thing you'll always see me do is hold people's feet to the fire of, all right, call it keto, that's all good. Is it within the template of a low carb, moderate protein, high fat diet? Because that's what keto, with mostly real whole foods, that's what keto is. If it is, then great. If it isn't, then I'm going to call you out for calling it keto. Call it something else. If you're not going to extol the virtues of fat on a ketogenic diet, then you're not really talking about keto. You're talking about a low fat, low calorie, low carb type of approach. That's not keto. So, I know what you're saying. You're upset that they're out there. Sadly, when there is popularity in a diet trend like keto, you're going to get those kinds of people. It's just, you can't do anything about it. The same thing happened in the paleo world when it came around. The same thing happened with the Atkins diet when it came around. Nancy said, what's your Instagram name? So I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man. I'm that everywhere, all over the internet. Livin' Low Carb Man. LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. And if you missed it, here on Facebook Live. I'm not going to be around the next few weeks, and probably the next couple of months. It's going to be sporadic because of my travel schedule. So please go follow me on Instagram Live, where I'm going to try to keep doing, when I can, the Jimmy Rants over there. Sarah says, been feeling dizzy for a few months. Can it have to do with keto, maybe not getting enough fat or protein? Most certainly, Sarah, it probably has more to do with either not eating enough energy to begin with, which would include fat and protein. That's a biggie. People undereat calories and they start getting dizzy. Don't undereat calories. But the bigger thing is electrolytes. So make sure you're getting ample amounts of salt, because when you go keto, you dump a lot of salt. So you got to replenish that salt. I highly recommend either pink Himalayan sea salt, Redmond's salt. All of those are really good choices. You also want to get potassium into your diet. And so if you eat avocados, a whole avocado has twice as much potassium as a whole banana. And yet everybody thinks bananas is where you get potassium from. And then you also want to get some magnesium into your diet. So magnesium you can generally take in pill form. Try to avoid magnesium citrate, because that gives you poopy pants unless you like that. Magnesium oxide or magnesium glycinate tend to be the better ones. And if you take it about an hour before you go to bed, it actually will help you sleep better. Okay? And then water, 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 water. All of those things should take away the dizziness if it's an electrolyte imbalance. Mitzi said, I just had pork belly for dinner. It's good, isn't it, Mitzi? Mark says, I have a fasting question. I normally do OMAD, 1 meal a day, 23 hours of fasting, 1 hour of eating, and then I mix it up, but I chew Copenhagen. Does that break the fast, taking a dip throughout the day? You know, I've never looked at that, to be honest with you. I don't think dip has any calories in it. I don't know is the honest answer. Look at the label, look it up to see if there's anything in the ingredients that would have caloricness. The only thing I could think of is it might stoke hunger, because the juices from it might fool your body into thinking you're getting nutrition when you're not. So that would be the only concern that I can think of that could be a problem for having chewing tobacco while you're doing OMAD. So it should not break the fast. I mean, I've never done that, so I have no idea. Is it sweet to the taste? I know it's got some properties in there, and obviously it has the nicotine in there. So look that up, because I'd be real curious. I've never seen anybody actually analyze whether that's giving you calories or whether it's giving you anything. And I haven't heard Dr. Fung in all the years. Nobody has ever asked him about dip, so I'm not sure is the honest answer. Tom says, exactly, do not focus on weight loss, focus on being healthy. Tom, if we did that, how cool would it be? Think about all the pressure people put themselves under to reach some arbitrary weight loss goal. That lady earlier wanted to lose 20 pounds. What kind of fasting do I need to do to lose 20 pounds? I'm going, even in the question, you could feel the angst there. You could feel the pressure of, I have to lose weight. But when you say, I have to get healthy, is there pressure? No, there's motivation. You want to do it. You got to get there. You do the things it takes to get there, including changes in diet, but also including some things and tweaks in your lifestyle. Chastity says, why am I starving after doing an extended fast sometimes, and then other times I'm not hungry at all? Activity level has always been the same. Sometimes your body is just, if you're stressed on the day that you're ending the fast, Chastity, and that could stoke some hunger. I think we think that, okay, I'm fasting, and so I should be a modicum of hungry and blah, blah, blah. But you've got to remember, there's so many things that can impact hunger levels when you're fasting. I can always tell when my body is under high amount of stress when I'm fasting, because the first thing I notice is my stomach will just growl incessantly from the stress. And so don't neglect maybe having stress that's happening in your life about the same time that you're ending the fast. If you had a bad night's sleep the night before, that also could be impacting some of the hunger levels. There's so many kind of moving parts in the lifestyle that could be impacting it, and it has really nothing to do with your activity level. Am I missing something? Are you going to quit doing the rants? No, Mitzi, I am going away on a trip. So tomorrow we're leaving for Italy. We're going with Maria Emmerich and her group over there to Italy for the next 10 days. And then we get back from that trip, and we've got some friends of ours we're going to go out to the beach with and enjoy a week away. Then we're home for a week and a half. Then we got the low carb cruise. And then another family trip that we're doing after that. So just busy time. So I was telling the Instagram or the Facebook livers why I probably won't be here as often as I have been. So that's why I'm telling them, go over to Instagram Live, follow me there, because I'm going to try to, while I'm traveling so much, definitely do some Instagram Lives so I can keep up. I'm not sure if there'll be Jimmy Rants always, but we will certainly try to give content over there. So that's what's going on. Chastity says, can high fat be dangerous? No. Just going to stop right there. No. High fat is not dangerous when you're using real whole food based fats. Now let's read the rest of your question. For those people that are not consistently keto, the on again, off again people, well, high fat in that context is not the same as high fat in a low carb context. So if you're going to eat a crappy garbage diet, you better keep your fat lower, right? The unfortunate thing is most of the people that eat a crappy garbage diet or cycle on and off of keto, crappy carbs, keto, crappy carbs, keto, those people tend to have really bad fats. So they tend to have the vegetable oil types of fats in their diet because that's what a lot of processed foods include. So in that context, you're right. They don't need to have high fat. High fat in the context of low carb is extraordinarily safe and I would say optimal for human health. High fat in the presence of high carb and especially high refined grain and refined sugars is a recipe for obesity and disease. So no bueno at all. Dawn says, I'm 15 minutes late. What do you say about breaking a fast? I've always been told anything with calories breaks a fast, and then I just heard this morning that you can have butter, coconut oil, and MCT. No, you cannot. No. You can have it, but you're not fasting anymore. See, this is part of the mixed messaging, you guys. There are certain people out there that say, oh, drink a bulletproof coffee, a buttered coffee in the morning like what you're describing, and you won't break your fast. That's not true. What you won't break is the insulin effect. You still won't have an insulin effect from having the fat. But guys, I am no fan of getting in liquid fat. To me, just doing pure liquid fat like that, just for the sake of liquid fat, okay, great. If you're not going to have breakfast and you're going to have that instead, okay, great. But to me, you're not really training your body to eat food. And so I'm not a fan of the bulletproof coffee, just willy-nilly like that. And I'm most certainly not a fan of pretending like and fooling yourself into believing that you're still fasting. If you're going to fast, fast. So fasting, and what we put in the Complete Guide to Fasting, my book, The Complete Guide to Fasting, is not consuming any more than 200 calories. And I would even say get as close to zero as possible. Because I tried doing things like bone broth and kombucha and some of these little things to try to help with the fasting. I've tried doing those things before. And what I have found that all of them stoke hunger. And the antithesis of and the enemy of your fasting protocol is hunger. Because when you get hungry, you can't stop it. I mean, when it just becomes so overwhelming, you can't stop it. So if you're going to fast, fast. And by fast, I mean water and salt. That's it. And if you do water and salt only, your body will reward you and make you feel better. Now, obviously, there are the moments where you're going to have those periods but you get by them. And generally, it's only in day 2 when you're doing kind of a 5 to 7 day fast. It's only day 2 when you have that experience. Once you get past that, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is pretty darn easy. I'm confused on what will and won't break a fast. So here's crystal clear clarity for you, Dawn. If you're putting fat in your coffee, that's breaking your fast. If you're putting salt in your water, that's not breaking your fast. Hope that helps you out. I have pink salt rocks at my desk to snack on, says Debbie. Yes. And when you're fasting, you can put the pink Himalayan sea salt or the Redmond's real salt right underneath your tongue. And you put it under the tongue and you let it kind of ooze there. And it actually makes you feel like and have the sensation of having a meal. And then you're good. And it always fascinates me when I'm doing these fasts, these longer fasts, and we stick the salt under the tongue. I always go, I wonder how much of our hunger that we think is hunger for food is actually our body sending us a signal for salt. And if all it takes is a little salt underneath the tongue to squelch that hunger, how much food are we eating needlessly that we didn't really need? It's something to ponder. Dawn said, I tested my blood this morning and started at 85. I assume you mean blood sugar. Then I drank a Bang. An hour later, my blood sugar was 114. So it means you got about a 19-point rise from that Bang. So just be aware. Maybe there's something in that product, in that drink that did that. It's not a bad response. If it went up 60 points, I'd say, yeah, please throw that away immediately. But I would love to know what it was at 2 hours. That's the key as well. Katrina, you have to get healthy to lose weight, not lose weight to get healthy. Preach it, girl. There are 100 calories in a quarter can of Copenhagen snuff, says Mark. He looked it up while we were here. Calorie breakdown, 100% carbs. Okay, so there you go. So you got 100 calories worth of a quarter of the can as the serving size. So that would be, 25 grams of carbohydrate in the snuff. So is it worth it? I don't think so. I think you probably will stoke hunger. 2 hours went back down to 84. Okay, so that's all right. Yeah, you're doing okay. All right, let's pop over to my buds over here at Instagram Live. Thank you guys for being here. We're doing an open Q&A session, so definitely ask your questions. If you have any questions, just general questions. This will be the final Friday Q&A session for a little while, you guys, because I got so much travel in the next couple of months. I don't know when I'll be able to consistently do it, but make your questions count. So, hello, Lindy. Catching up on Keto Hacking MD today. Thank you. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about red light therapy with a lot of guests, and today's guest was really fascinating, although he thought there was protein in an apple, and I had to make a joke about it. It was funny. Tammy says, finally got my doctor to run a fasting insulin on me. It was 7. Is that, does that mean my insulin resistance is getting better? 7 is hardcore. I don't know what it was before, but 7 is really good. Optimally, if you're going to get picky, the functional medicine range is anything under 5, but anything under 10 is really good. Christine just got hers back and it was 9, so really, really good. The last one I had checked was 11. That's the one that I'm trying to work on. I'm theorizing is a stress-related elevation. Sherry says, any advice on low-dose naltrexone and helping with reverse T3? Honestly, I don't know anything about medication, so sadly I can't give you any direction there, but I can certainly ask you to send that to me, and I'll be happy to run it by one of my medical doctor friends. I saw your awesome dill plant. Do you remember the exact type you planted? Ooh, kitty cattic. It was one of the ones we got with the Arrow Garden. I think they only have one dill plant with the Arrow Garden. So look it up on Amazon, kitty cattic. Arrow Garden and dill. Whatever that one is the one we got. But yeah, it's humongous, you guys. That dill has just grown us out of house and home. After losing 60 pounds and at goal, what do you recommend on how to live keto? You just keep living it. I think people have this notion that, well, they need to change things up once they hit their goal weight. And I'm thinking, okay, your body ain't stupid. Your body will put you at the weight that you're supposed to be at. Now, obviously, you could maybe relax some of the rules that you had. Maybe try, if you wanted to, increasing a little bit of your carbohydrates just to see if your carb tolerance has maybe improved. So that's where maybe you could add in a few more carbohydrates in the form of more vegetables. Maybe you could add in a half of a sweet potato just to see how your body reacts. Those are things you can play around with. When you raise the carbohydrates like that, make sure you do bring the fat down just a little bit. You're trying to keep that balance in play. You don't want to continue to have the same amount of fats when you start raising the carbohydrates. So tinker around with it. But I'd say if you're very happy with where you are and what got you to that 60-pound weight loss, Keto Doc, then keep on keeping on. Nothing to change. I like a ribeye with butter. Imperfectly healthy. You and I would get along quite well. So do I. Liz says, fasting question. Do you think too much variability in intermittent fasting makes or no difference? Example, 24 hours, next day 16, next day 18, or more consistency. I think if you fall into too consistent a pattern, Liz, it's like anything. It's like going to the gym and you do the exact same workout every single day. Will you build muscle for a period of time? You will. Will you continue to build muscle over the long term? I don't think you will. So I like the idea of switching it up. I like the idea of, and I'm even starting to think about some alternate days of higher protein and then maybe a lower type of protein, and you kind of promote some of these effects with the mTOR effect and producing longevity when you try to switch things up like that. So no, I'm very much in favor of mixing it up. 24-hour this day, maybe do an alternate day fast, maybe do a 16-hour, and yeah, I think mixing it up is a great idea. RW Hempel, I've been keto since August, have been carnivore for the last 18 days. Should I be concerned that I'm never hungry? No. That's a telltale sign that your keto or your carnivore is doing very well. What would you be concerned about? It's almost like I'm having to force myself to eat. While keto, I did not have this issue. Well, it sounds like keto was probably stoking some hunger hormones, and now carnivore has relaxed all of that. I would say if you're not hungry, maybe try pushing your fasting window a little longer. I'll tell you, when I first started on keto carnivore, it was extremely easy for me to push my fasting window, which was typically on keto somewhere around 16 to 18 hours. I was going 28, 30, upwards of even 36 hours between meals because I was so satiated. And I think what happens when you first start going carnivore, you start to get a lot of those satiating effects while your body is adjusting to this kind of new mode that you're eating. And once you kind of get used to that, then you kind of fall into more of a regular daily kind of hunger feeling, but you don't feel massive hunger. That's been the great thing for me about keto carnivore. I have about one meal a day, and so I eat that one meal, and that's it for the whole day. I don't have to think about food the rest of the day, and I don't at all. It's pretty freeing, actually. Richard wants to know, what veggies have you cut out completely since going keto carnivore, and what have you added? It's keto carnivore, Richard. So zero vegetables in the diet and zero added in. Zero. When you find a carnivorous vegetable, you let me know about it. Maybe a Venus flytrap, would that be a carnivorous vegetable because they eat me? Sherry says, another question, how much potassium do you personally get in on a daily basis, and do you supplement any? So I do have potassium in the multivitamin that I take, and it's the one that, it's my company called Keto Living, the Keto Essentials multivitamin. So I take that every single day, and it's got the ample amounts of potassium in it. So ketoliving.com if you're interested. But like I said earlier, if you eat plant matter, then the best source of potassium is avocado. But you get potassium in meat products. You get potassium from a lot of different sources on your keto diet. Tammy says, I'm already very healthy from 3 years of keto. Just want to make my 100-pound weight loss goal that I set for myself. Just wanted to clarify this. Well, it's all good. Hey, if you want to reach your 100-pound goal, go ahead. But I'm saying don't let that so rule your life. I think a lot of people get into, I'm going to go keto and I'm going to lose 100 pounds. 100 pounds is arbitrary. And I know it sounds so good. I lost 100 pounds. It's so awesome. And I think sometimes we psychologically psych ourselves out a bit by putting some arbitrary number like that. What if your body's only meant to lose 80 pounds? And yet you have the goal of 100 pounds. What do you do mentally with that last 20 pounds when it doesn't come off? How do you handle the emotional distress that you're giving yourself when you don't hit that last 20 pounds to get to the 100 pounds lost? I think you do more harm than good by setting such an arbitrary number when your body might fall perfectly fine within that 20 pounds of that goal. Celebrate the 80 pounds you've lost and let go of that last 20 pounds while you pursue health, and that pursuit of health is what might help you actually lose that last 20 pounds. See where I'm going here? And trust me, this is years of wisdom I'm trying to pass on to you, that you could get so caught up in the weight loss goal of it all that you miss the forest for the trees. Good stuff has happened. Gela wants to know, travel stress has been a problem for you. Yes, it has. Are you doing anything different this time around? I assume you mean my trip to Italy. So I have incorporated several new things into my lifestyle since my last big travel. I have this little roller that I got at the NTA conference, actually, where I saw you last. It's called Not Out, and it's like this little bitty roller. And I'll have that on the plane seat, and I'll sit there, and I might look weird, but I'm like wiggling around and getting all up in there and getting on there and keeping loose. I think that helps the muscles loose. I know people also wear compression socks to help with that as well. Once I'm there, I actually have the new Juve Go. It's like this little miniature plug into one of these little doohickeys, a little charger thingy. And it'll give you red light therapy to try to help with that. I'm obviously going to try to sleep on the plane. There's all kind of little tricks and things. And I will let you know this, when I'm on the plane, if they don't have any carnivore options, for me to eat, it's a long flight, I'm going to eat whatever I can get. So if it means it's a plant matter, oh my gosh, I'm not going to freak out about that. Obviously, when I'm home, I'm very much keto carnivore. But when I'm traveling, I'm just going to get there and survive to get there. Let's see. Corey wants to know, if my family eats carbs and my high-fat keto dinners, are they going to have issues with their health? They are my husband and teenagers. High carb, high fat is a recipe for disaster. So yes, it's no bueno. Tell them they can either eat high carb and all the junk that they want, or they can choose to give up the junk and embrace keto. They can't have the very high fat, I'm assuming it's like desserts and other things that you're making. It's going to set them down the path of obesity and disease. We've seen it again and again and again. It's called the standard American diet, and it's no bueno. Are you still supplementing salt on carnivore? So thank you, Dr. Meaty McBurger. I love your username, by the way. I get enough salt on the food that I eat on carnivore, so I season my beef very well, and as such, I don't need to supplement between. So during my OMAD, during that 23 and a half hours, I don't really have to take sodium in because I'm getting enough sodium in that meal. All right, let me see if there's any other questions that came in over here Thanks for being here, guys. Let's see here. When I fast, water and salty iced tea. Awesome, Mark. That's cool. Dawn says after 2 hours, my blood sugar down to 84, so that means it's okay then. Yeah, you're back to baseline again, so that was good. I bought keto strips for now, says Bonnie, until I can get the one you breathe in, and it's hard to match the color exactly because it says only a trace of ketones, but yet I have energy and not much hunger. Your thoughts on its accuracy? You didn't give me any name brands, so I bought keto strips. I'm assuming you mean the pee strips, the urine strips. So the urine strips are notoriously inaccurate after the first couple of weeks on keto. So I'm trying to get the one you breathe in. So if you can get, there's two of them that are out there that you can breathe. One is currently available, and I highly, highly recommend that you get the Bluetooth version. It's called Ketonics, the pee strips. Okay. So get the Ketonics if you can, the Bluetooth. It is so cool. It coordinates with your smartphone, and it gives you a number reading and a color reading. It's really, really awesome. I love using the Ketonics Bluetooth. There is a new one. As far as I know, it's not yet available on the market, but they just finished a Kickstarter campaign. It's for Keto, Keyto. And so they should be coming out with theirs very soon. I also love theirs. It also integrates with your smartphone, and it gives you a digital readout of your number too. The problem is it doesn't have any correlation whatsoever with beta hydroxybutyrate in the blood, even though people want to do that. But it does show you your fat burning mode. So just be aware of the ones that are trying to sell you a breathalyzer for alcohol and pretending like it's a ketone analyzer. Those are bogus. Please do not buy those. And your clue, you guys, is if it's $30 or $40, those are the wrong ones. Those are not accurate. They're selling so many of those right now to gullible keto dieters. Please stop buying that stupid product because it doesn't measure for acetone in the breath. It measures for alcohol in the breath. Unfortunately, because acetone can act like that, it can show up in trace amounts onto one of those breathalyzers. Oh my gosh, I have ketones. No, you don't. You have stinky breath from alcohol. It's being fooled into thinking you have alcohol. Rant over on that one. Get the Ketonics, get the Keto. Those are much better ways to test, or test your blood if you'd like. Jessica says, I am 93 to 95 pounds down. Well, good job, Jessica. Celebrate. Celebrate. I'm stalled for months. What does stalled mean? Maybe you're at your goal weight. I think we put so much language around this whole notion of our weight journey that it's self-sabotage. Think that through a little bit, Jessica. I think we so psych ourselves out into thinking we have failed when here you are, amazing human being that has taken and put in the hard work to lose 93 to 95 pounds. If that ain't something miraculous, I don't know what is. And you need to frame it that way. Look at what I've done, not that 3 to 5 pounds you haven't done, right? And so when you're stalled for months, you're telling your brain, you're not good enough. And I think we need to get out of that mode. We need to get out of that mentality. You're just setting yourself up to be discouraged. And then when you're in a temptation period, oh, well, I hadn't really reached my goal, so I guess I'll have this donut. I'm not saying you would do that, but I'm saying some people would put themselves in that position of, well, I'm not worthy, I'm not doing well enough, so therefore it gives me license to. So does that make sense? That stinking 100-pound kind of haunts me, but oh well, I imagine I could hack those last 5 to 7 pounds. I just eat keto and don't force it. I feel fine. Maybe it will happen. Que sera, sera. So Jessica, if you want to lose 5 to 7 pounds, fast. You'll eventually lose 5 to 7 pounds. Now, when you start eating again, it'll come back. But if you want to see that 100 pounds lost on the scale, so be it. Fast. Just fast until it all comes off. That 5 to 7 pounds, which will take probably no more than about 5 to 7 days for most people. That typically is what you would lose in that amount of time. And you'll have that 5 to 7 pounds. Will you feel better? If it makes you feel better to see it on the scale and to take a picture of it and post it all over social media. Look, guys, I hit my 100-pound goal loss. Is it worth it? Is that what you want? See, I speak truth here on Jimmy Rants. I don't sugarcoat anything, I promise you. I bought one of those meters. It shows 0.05 all the time, but I don't drink alcohol at all. Yeah, Dawn, so those breathalyzers, they're testing for acetone. And yeah, it kind of gives you a bad feeling. It's not good. What do you think of all the ketones they're selling on Facebook saying you need them? Well, Sarah, if I could bottle up the ketones that my body naturally produces, I'd sell them too. I don't think you need to necessarily have exogenous ketones. There is a role for them. I do think there are certain situations for people that have some chronic health issues, maybe some athletes that want to get a bit of a boost in the gym. But I think the marketing of a lot of these exogenous ketone companies, in fact, one company has heavily marketed the keto market as eat all the carbs you want and drink our product and you'll be in ketosis, which is the biggest lie in the world. Because my fear is if you eat a high carb diet and then you also take these exogenous ketones, who's to say high levels of blood sugar, which would happen from the high carb diet, and high levels of blood ketones, which would happen from the exogenous ketones? Who says that that's a good metabolic state? What is that physically doing in the body? These are the things that concern me. And to me, why take something like that if your body is able to very naturally, through carbohydrate restriction, moderation of protein, increasing healthy fats to satiety, eating mostly real whole foods, your body can make ketones perfectly fine, and periods of fasting, make all the ketones you need. So I've never understood this need to drink ketones in the form of exogenous beta-hydroxybutyrate salts. Again, that said, I do think there are a few people that do find benefit from them. If you're stressed in your day, or you had a bad night's sleep and you know your blood sugar is going to be elevated, you're going to have lower ketones, maybe that day sipping on some exogenous ketones could help. If you're an athlete and you're trying to work out in the gym in a fasted state and you want to kind of boost your beta-hydroxybutyrate, I think in that instance is probably good. If you have a chronic disease, a metabolic disease like cancer or Alzheimer's disease or some of these other things, and you're trying to boost your ketone levels very high in conjunction with a carbohydrate restricted, maybe calorie restricted type of diet, drinking exogenous ketones might get your ketones higher. So they have a role, but not to the level of this willy-nilliness that we're seeing advertised all over Facebook. Christine says, I use a glucometer that also reads ketones. I have to buy 2 separate strips, one for glucose, one for ketones. Wouldn't blood be the gold standard of testing ketones? It is. So if you're going to test your ketones, the gold standard for doing that is a blood ketone meter. The one that I wrote about in Keto Clarity was called Precision Extra from Abbott. They never showed any interest in the ketogenic diet marketplace, so then other companies have popped up. The Keto Mojo is the one that's kind of gotten traction within the keto world. There's a new one called Keto Coach X that's out there as well. That has cheaper strips than the Keto Mojo. So just look around, you guys. If you're going to test ketosis, that is the best way. And I don't think you need to obsessively test. You kind of know, look for those signs and symptoms that you're doing well. No hunger, not fatigued, full of energy, clearer skin, so many benefits, calmer mood. All of these things will tell you whether or not you're in a state of nutritional ketosis. Well, I see Angela Poff is here. Thanks for being here, Angela. Have you tried exogenous ketones? Yeah, Chastity, if it's in the keto space, Jimmy Moore has tried it. I promise you, yes. And again, I will use them strategically myself on days that I am a little more stressed than normal. Although today was one of those days and I have not used them, so I'm doing okay. Or if I got a bad night's sleep. Those would be the reasons why I would use them. You only eat one meal a day, says Dawn. Drink water and use only salt. Do you not drink any caffeine? So I hate coffee. People that know Jimmy Moore knows I hate coffee. So, yeah. So no caffeine for me. No. Keto Doc says Keto is great and been using it for months. Compared to blood ketones, it's pretty good. Hello. Sam says I don't weigh so much anymore. I measure waist started at 54. Now it's 39, and that'll do for me. Yeah, that's really, really good. Carnivore Cast says when you have those higher levels of blood sugar and then take exogenous ketones, so having a high carb diet and having exogenous ketones, that could pretty much put your body into a state of ketoacidosis. And that is the concern, Carnivore Cast, when you have elevations in blood sugar. Let's say you eat a really high carb diet, because they say, oh, eat all the carbs you want, just take our product and you'll get into ketosis. So you get blood sugar of 189. And then you get your blood ketones up because you're like, oh, I need to mitigate all these carbs I just had. And you have 3 or 4 glasses of the beta hydroxybutyrate salts. And I've had, you guys, not just exogenous ketones, I've had some of these ketone esters, which think about the effects of exogenous ketones and multiply times 10. That's, they're hardcore, trust me. And they'll get your ketones up really, really fast. Typically on exogenous ketones, you're seeing them boost up maybe 2-3 range. With the ketone esters, I've seen it as high as 5-6 range. So if you really boost it with the high carb, you get very high blood sugar, very high blood ketones. At what point are you putting your body at risk for ketoacidosis? So it's no bueno. Keto Doc, I agree that the weight goal may deter you from celebrating on keto. However, many of us want to experience the weight we had when we were younger. I've never been prouder of accomplishing this loss with keto. Yeah, I mean, if it's going to make you feel good, I think it depends on the person, Keto Doc. There are some people that are so obsessed about it that the idea of failing to reach that goal is more devastating than the good that they would feel if they actually hit the goal. That makes sense. So I think you're the personality type that, okay, you're goal oriented, and when you accomplish that goal, you have that sense of fulfillment from that goal. If you had never hit that goal, you still would probably feel pretty darn fulfilled with what you've been doing, what you've been able to accomplish. And that's the difference. I think there's some people that they will never feel that sense of accomplishment because they're hitting or trying to hit this arbitrary goal that may or may not ever happen. Chastity says, does ketones lower blood glucose? So the higher level of ketones, the blood glucose would be lowered some. In theory, yes, in theory. In theory, when blood sugar is lower, you have higher levels of ketones. And this is evidenced when you are in a fasted state. And I've done many a fast, long fast, short fast. When I've done longer fast, you guys, I have seen blood sugar get down into the 50s and 60s pretty routinely. And when blood sugar gets that low, blood ketones have a corresponding, like blood sugar drops, blood ketones have a corresponding rise. And I've seen them get as high as 5-6 when I'm in a full-on like 4th or 5th day of an extended fast. They'll get 4, 5, 6, and blood sugar will be in the 50s and 60s. And then vice versa. If I have blood sugar levels, either from food going elevated, going from food or stress or a lack of sleep, and I'll see a 1 18, for example, I can almost guarantee you I have blood ketones below 1.0 for sure, and most of the time below 0.5. So yes, there is a bit of a correlation there. The only exception to that is what we were talking about just a moment ago with the exogenous ketones. You don't want to take exogenous ketones when you have a higher level of blood sugar. In theory, that higher blood ketones from the exogenous ketones should lower the blood sugar a little bit, but not always. I celebrate every day, says Jessica. I wear pretty dresses and put flowers in my hair. I don't dress like a mortician's daughter anymore, which I actually am, no lie. Oh, I believe you, Jessica. I believe you. Where do you get ketone esters from? Yeah, they're spelled ESTERS, Tammy. So I'm trying to remember the name of the company. He's going to kill me for not remembering. Ketone Aid, I think is what it's called. Google Ketone Aid, and you'll be able to find that. They're extremely expensive, you guys, those ketone esters. So, but it's basically this stuff that tastes like jet fuel. It's disgusting. Maybe I should do a future Jimmy Rants where I come on here and I take it and I show you in real time, because within 15 minutes, I'll go from like a 1.0 on the blood ketones to about a 5.4. I mean, it's just wicked. And you can actually see it on my face, the change, because suddenly I'm just hyper, and it's pretty wicked. I don't think that that's normal. I don't think a human being needs to take ketone esters and have that quick of a rise in their ketones. Now, obviously, I would never do that with a high carb or high blood sugar. I would never do it when I have a high blood sugar. But with a blood sugar definitely under 90, for sure I would do that. So, yes, do it, please, says Gina. Well, I'm about to go to Italy for 10 days, so maybe after some of this travel that's coming up, I will. You guys want me to pull out the ketone ester? I think I've got some left. Pull out some ketone esters and try this. Christine wants to know what supplements are important besides salt, potassium, and vitamin D. Oh, there's so many. I think if you have a gene mutation like MTHFR, then you need to be taking methylated folate. Folic acid does you no good if you have the MTHFR, either one of those mutations. There's two of them. It's a genetic test, by the way. And no, I didn't just cuss at you. It's actually called MTHFR. You can ask your doctor to run it. Most functional medicine people automatically run it. And see if you need methylated folate. But most of us do have at least one of those mutations. I have the lesser harmful one, and Christine has the worst one. So we both take methylated folate. That Keto Essentials multivitamin I told you about earlier that my company makes, Keto Living, we actually put methylated folate into the multivitamin since it's such a ubiquitous problem. What else can you take? I mean, it's dependent on what your issues are. I do think vitamin D is a big one. I do think potassium and salt are big ones. I think if you have blood sugar issues, chromium is a pretty good one. Berberine is another good one that you'd want to do. We have a berberine supplement that has chromium in it at ketoliving.com. I think CoQ10, if you've ever been on a statin medication or have some heart health concerns, CoQ10 could be a good one. It's expensive, but definitely worth the investment. There's just so many that could be targeted to your specific situation that, generally speaking, I don't want to really just say, oh, take all these vitamins. And the bottom line is try to get them from food. Try to get all of your vitamins from food. Yesterday's Keto Talk episode, we had a whole, what we called offal cast. So it was all the odd bits, all of the organ meats that you can include in your diet to get vitamins and minerals and other micronutrients into your body. So definitely go listen to that at ketotalk.com. That can be really good. Can you recommend a good digestive enzyme? So Christine orders one from this company called Biotics. Any nutritional therapy practitioner can order you digestive enzymes. There's a few of them there from Biotics Research. They're pharmaceutical grade, obviously. The one that she uses is beta TCP. There's another one that she has me take. I don't remember the name of it, but they're really, really good ones out there. Obviously, ox bile would be another one if you don't have a gallbladder, and that can help you digest the fats. So those are a few. But yeah, you're going to have to probably go through an NTP to help with that. Methylated folate was a game changer for me, says Jessica. Yes. And yes, Jessica, thank you for that. KetoLiving.com. All right, guys, I'm running out of time over here on Instagram Live, so that's it for this open Q&A session. Thank you for that. This is going to be the last one here on Facebook for a little while, so we'll probably try to get back to that when I'm done with all my travel, but the travel's about to get crazy, guys, so I need happy thoughts. Thanks for watching Jimmy Rants here on Instagram Live. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you want to engage live in the content, you need to go follow me live over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. We also simulcast live over here on Facebook Live. So thank you guys for being here. Stick around for the after party here in just a minute. If you missed the live here on Instagram, definitely check it out on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, though, it does disappear. Go check it out then on YouTube. All the past episodes are up over there. 320 something episodes and counting over on YouTube. So go check it out. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this year's show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. We're also going to be airing, while I'm gone in the months of May and June, we're going to be airing some of these Jimmy Rants in audio form on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So tune in to that, llvlc.com. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. Come on over to the after party over here on Facebook Live. Until next time, Instagram Live, we'll see you then.